I don't need to remind you and to show you. You're a journalist.
So you're showing restraint in Gaza right now? Is that what you're saying?
Of course. Of course. Of course.
Sir, 80% of the Gaza Strip is totally devastated. 80% of the Gaza Strip is devastated, according to the World Bank.
And the fault of who?
And that's restraint.
And the fault of who?
No, we'll get to the fault.
I'm asking you.
But the fact is,
the fault
you're
of
saying
who?
you're showing restraint.
Who attacked the fault of who?
Your heritage minister, Amichai Eliyahu, said nuking Gaza was an option and called for methods more painful than death for Palestinians. Do you condemn that statement?
I told you what I believe in.
Yeah.
Israeli government has 3, I would even say 4 objectives.
Yeah.
The objectives are, and I can say it again, I said it, I'll say it again.
I'm
Hamas
asking you
will
about
not
a very
reign.
specific quote,
Ask him.
sir.
You invited me.
Yeah.
When official spokespeople are pressed on hard facts instead of talking points, the narrative doesn't just bend, it breaks. Today, we are looking at an extraordinary exchange between a European journalist and Boaz Bismuth, a senior Likud member of parliament and close ally of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. When asked why military force hasn't brought back the hostages, Bismuth couldn't name a single number. And when confronted on plans to resettle Gaza, he claimed it wasn't happening. Right before admitting his own government, colleagues are actively working on it. When the facts collapse, the only defense left is to attack the reporter. I'm Neil. This is The Honest Perspective. Truth over access, facts over official propaganda. Let's get into it.
We have to stick to the facts here, sir.
That's what I'm doing.
The majority of your hostages were not released through fighting. They were released at the negotiating table. 150 Israeli hostages were released in 2 rounds thanks to negotiations and a ceasefire. Yet you resumed the war.
So if I listen to you, I stop the war immediately. I leave my hostages over there. I go back to Tel Aviv.
No, they get released if you stop the war. It happened twice.
It happened twice.
You stopped the war.
2014.
Ceasefire was in place, and your hostages were released.
I wish. I mean, if
and
you
yet
release them.
5 weeks ago, you resumed the war.
Yeah.
And you saw your own people taking to the streets.
So for you,
against the
for
war.
you, I should stop the war.
Not for me.
No.
For the hostage
according to your
families.
question, for the hostage family, I meet them, in the parliament, Israeli parliament.
They want the war?
They want the kids, they want their fathers, they want their family back. I want them back.
Yes, but
Everybody
they want you
in
to
Israel wants them
continue
back.
the war?
Some do, and some don't.
Yeah.
You know that they're divided if you're a journalist and you do the work.
Yes.
But I know what is Hamas. And Hamas wants Israel out of Gaza. Hamas stays in Gaza and hostages with them. What Israel wants, hostages back and Gaza without Hamas and Gaza for the Gazawi people. That's what I want.
Mr. Bismuth, the fact of the matter is that last time there was a ceasefire in January, 45 of your hostages were released through negotiations, through the ceasefire. Then you resumed the war. Now there's no hostage release.
Notice what just happened there. The interviewer lays out a plain mathematical reality. Over 100 hostages were released through a negotiated diplomatic ceasefire, while military bombardment has consistently put them in danger. Instead of answering with facts, Bismuth pivots to accusing the journalist of believing the terrorists simply for reading back basic release statistics. When the record contradicts the strategy, factual accounting gets reframed as disloyalty. Let's see what happens when the interviewer asks for a specific military number.
How many hostages have you been able to release through military action?
Israel released
through military
actions.
How many?
Not all of them. This is obvious.
No,
Israel has
the
proved,
number.
I know the numbers, but I'll tell you something.
How many through military action?
Sir, I'm not in inquiry here, but I'm answering you.
Yeah.
Israel, when we had the option in November 2023 to bring them back, that's what we did.
Yes.
It's not your kids, it's my kids who are fighting in Gaza. My daughter is in Gaza. My daughter is risking her life in order to bring hostages back, in order to make sure that Hamas is not there anymore. It's my kid, not yours. So believe me, I take a risk. And why do I take the risk? Because the Middle East will be different. Because I want to live in tranquility. I want my kids not to have terrorists beside them. Would you like me to be honest with you? The fact that I have hostages in Gaza, of course, ties my hand. I mean, this is obviously, I do not want to risk the lives of my hostages. These are my brothers and sisters. So when you know that they're in tunnels of Gaza, it is obvious that Israel will not fight in the same way. I don't need to remind you and to show you, you're a journalist.
So you're showing restraint in Gaza right now? Is that what you're saying?
Of course.
Sir, 80% of the Gaza Strip is totally devastated. 80% of the Gaza Strip is devastated, according to the World Bank.
And the fault of who?
And that's restraint.
And the fault of who?
No, we'll get to the
fault.
fault.
I'm asking you.
But the fact is,
the fault
you're
of
saying
who?
you're showing restraint.
Who attacked the fault of who? everything that happens in Gaza is under the responsibility of Hamas, Hamas.
Okay, so you reach, let's for argument's sake, you say you reach that point.
Yeah.
Hamas does not control Gaza.
Sure.
They're not a military force anymore. What then?
The day after,
What
as I
do
said
you
before,
want to do with Gaza?
The day after. First of all, I left Gaza in 2005. I left Gaza.
Your prime minister, your boss said today that you're going to stay there indefinitely.
My prime minister, first of all, my prime minister has the obligation towards history, to bring back the hostages and to eliminate Hamas from Gaza. This is why he has the support of the people. What will happen next? I can tell you what will not happen. Look, we have a new American
So
administration.
you're avoiding the question. I'm asking
I'm not
you
avoiding. I'm
three
still
times.
answering. If you'll allow me to answer,
Sure,
we
please.
still have new, for example, American administration, and you heard the American president who spoke, not me. I mean, it's not Prime Minister Netanyahu. It's the American president who spoke maybe of migration, consent, of course, consent migration of Gazawi people towards other places if they want.
Will Israelis resettle Gaza? Because there are people in your government who are making plans as we speak for the resettlement of Gaza.
I know that in Gaza, there was an Israeli settlement. I know that in Gaza, we had control before 2005. I know that the 7th of October wouldn't have happened or occurred at that time. Yet, I did not hear my prime minister, which I speak a lot, speaking about occupation in Gaza, settlements in Gaza.
Does Israel want to resettle Gaza?
I didn't hear my prime minister speak about it. I didn't hear
But
the
there are
Israeli official.
members in the Israeli government who
By
are
the way,
saying this, who are working with these plans.
When I look at myself in the mirror, I never hear myself saying such a thing. If that's what you want, if it's your fantasy, maybe it's yours.
No,
I
it's a
didn't hear-
fantasy of members of
Some
the
they're
Israeli
allowed to,
government.
by the way. Some also they have also some who have the fantasy of how would I say of a two-state solution and having a terrorist state beside me. That's also a fantasy. We're a democracy.
Okay, so the
We
Israeli
have
government
democracy.
does not want to resettle
It's not
Gaza?
an official line. I didn't hear. You also
Okay.
didn't hear it.
Good.
That brief exchange exposes two massive structural contradictions in the official stance. First, when asked directly how many hostages were rescued by military force, Bismuth admits he knows the number, refuses to say it, and immediately deflects to personal sacrifice. Second, on the question of resettling Gaza, he claims he never hears himself say such things, only to concede in the exact same breath that ministers inside his own governing coalition are actively drafting those settlement plans. That isn't a fantasy. That is internal policy coordination happening on the record.
It's
So,
the right of honesty.
One of the key stages of any genocide is dehumanization. Okay? Israeli ministers and generals have repeatedly used language that strips Palestinians of their humanity. Let's go through a few of those examples. Again, this is not taken from thin air. In October 2023, you tweeted, "It must not be forgotten that even the innocent citizens, in brackets, the cruel and monstrous people from Gaza took an active part in a pogrom in the Israeli settlements, in the systematic murder of Jews and the shedding of their blood, in the kidnapping of children, old people and mothers, and tying up babies and burning them alive. One mustn't pity the cruel. There is no place for any humanitarian gesture." Do you stand by that statement?
What do you do with people, civilians, who come and kill your babies? What do you do with them?
Sorry, I'm asking you.
No, I'm
very
asking
simple
you.
questions.
I'm asking
Please,
you. You
please.
ask me.
Do you stand by that statement?
About innocent civilians? Civilians who come and kill and rape, what are they? Tell me. Define. I mean, you seem to know everything.
No.
Define.
What do you mean by this statement?
I'll tell you what I
you're
mean by
saying.
civilians. Well, I'll tell you what
Yeah,
I mean.
please explain.
Those who come and kill me, yeah? Those who come, and this is why in brackets, innocent
Yeah.
civilians. As I said before, and you recall perfectly well what I said, I know what I tweet.
I just quoted you.
Of course, people who come and kill, rape, kidnap, slaughter. In Norway, what do you do with them? You give them a medal? I'm asking you. What do you do in Norway with someone who comes with people who rape in Norway? What do you do with them? What do you do with criminals in Norway? What do you do with them? You give them medals? What is this? What you don't allow in Norway, I'm supposed to allow in Israel? Those who come and kill, those who come and viciously kill, I'm very sorry, I mean. They're not, how would I say, they're not angels.
Okay.
Maybe in
So-
your, maybe in you, wait a second. Now I understand with your little smile. Now I understand. Maybe because they came to Israel and they killed Israelis or they killed Jews and it's okay. Maybe this is your logic, sir. Now I understand. Please continue. Took me time, you see. It took me half an hour to understand your logic. Please
Okay, so
continue.
you stand by that statement. So, your heritage minister, Amichai Lahu, said nuking Gaza was an option and called for methods more painful than death for Palestinians. Do you condemn that statement?
I told you what I believe in.
Yeah.
Israeli government has 3, I would even say 4 objectives.
Yeah.
The objectives are, and I can say it again, I said it, I'll say it again.
I'm
Hamas
asking you
will
about
not
a very
reign.
specific quote,
Ask him.
sir.
You invited me.
Yeah.
When confronted with his own written statements, where he tweeted that there is no room for humanity regarding Gaza, Bismuth doesn't retract it. He doubles down and demands to know what else should be done. Then, when asked if he condemns a cabinet minister who suggested dropping a nuclear weapon on Gaza, he refuses to condemn the quote and tells the reporter to ask him instead. Collective punishment rhetoric isn't being hidden here. It's being openly normalized on camera.
Israel's president, Isaac Herzog, said it's an
That's him.
entire nation out there that is responsible. This rhetoric about civilians not aware, not involved, it's absolutely not true. What do you think about these kind of
Who voted-
blanket statements
I'll tell you only
accusing
2 things.
all of the Gazan population
I'll tell
for
you
the
two-
atrocities of
I'll
Hamas?
tell you 2 things, but again, I understand. When he speaks of, as you quoted, or as you said right now, we quoted this tweet about the entire population, or I don't know. how
Being
you called it.
responsible, yeah.
Responsible. Who voted for Hamas? My grandmother came out of her grave and voted for Hamas, or the Palestinian people?
40% of the Gazans voted for Hamas in 2005.
And do they want Jews not to exist?
Half of Gaza's population is under
Civilians
18.
in Gaza. Okay,
They
let's go
didn't-
40%.
They didn't even exist when Hamas came to power.
Continue.
I'll give you a last quote from your former defense minister,
Please.
Yoav Gallant. We're fighting human animals and acting accordingly. Do you condemn that statement?
How would you call them? I mean, I'm sorry, are you serious? Are you serious with those questions? You come here only looking, my God, he said this, and there's a comma over there. Yes, I mean, those who did the 7th of October are barbarians, are vandals, are Huns. Here and I say, how would you call them?
Do you believe all Gazans are human animals? This
Of
is the
course not,
question.
but I said it.
Yeah.
But what did I say before? Didn't I say to you during this interview that you will see afterwards, and when you will cook it, of course, and take only what suits you? So, 7th of October, what did I say? We're at war after 7th of October, but I also said that the Gazawi people deserve a better government or better ruling entity than a terrorist group. Did I say it or no? But of course you forgot, because you only remember what you want. But please continue. So
What we just witnessed isn't just an interview gone wrong. It is a textbook demonstration of what happens when state talking points collide with basic arithmetic and public records. Look at how the arguments collapsed under simple questioning. On the hostage crisis, the official narrative claims that maximum military pressure is the only way to secure releases. Yet, as documented by Israeli news outlets like Haaretz and confirmed by the hostage families' own advocacy groups, the overwhelming majority of living hostages, over 100 people, were brought home during the single operational ceasefire in November 2023. By contrast, military rescue operations have freed fewer than a dozen hostages total, while several have tragically been killed during armed operations in the dense urban combat zone. When Bismuth refused to answer how many were freed militarily, it wasn't because he didn't know. It was because the number dismantles the core justification for continuing the campaign. Then look at the settlement question. Bismuth tried to dismiss Gaza recolonization as a fantasy of a few individuals. But let's look at the actual receipts. Key members of Netanyahu's coalition, including Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich and National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir, have publicly spoken at parliamentary conferences advocating for the re-establishment of Israeli settlements in Gaza and the voluntary migration of its Palestinian population. Satellite imagery and investigative reporting by groups like B'Tselem have shown extensive military infrastructure being built across the Netzarim corridor and Philadelphia route, establishing long-term military control, claiming that recolonization isn't official policy, while enabling coalition partners who are actively building the framework for it is a semantic shell game. Finally, notice the argument Bismuth used to justify collective responsibility. He cited the 2006 Palestinian legislative election to argue that the entire population bears responsibility for Hamas. But as the interviewer pointed out, over 50% of Gaza's population today are children under 18. They were not even born when that election took place 20 years ago. Holding a population of children collectively responsible for a political outcome from 2 decades ago violates the fundamental principles of international law, specifically Article 33 of the Fourth Geneva Convention, which explicitly prohibits collective penalties. When you strip away the deflections, the personal attacks, and the accusations of bias, the underlying reality remains visible on tape: an official defense strategy that cannot account for its own statistics, and a political framework that refuses to hold its own leaders accountable for their statements. If you believe in holding power accountable to facts over sound bites, hit that subscribe button, leave your thoughts in the comments, and share this video. I'm Neil. Truth over access. People over profits. That's the honest perspective. And that's where I'll leave you.